already mailed it off.
Conference will now be recorded.
There you go.
Yeah,
Okay,
Leslie,
go ahead, Leslie.
on the card that you received, that or the letter or whatever it is that says that
Yeah.
you're supposed to report for jury duty, there should be a phone number or contact information there. That's the same thing happened with me, and I just called that number, got a hold of a person, said that the disability, and he just said send proof that you are on disability and you're permanently waived. So
what proof does one show?
okay, annually when you get your actually I have mine right. Oh, I have mine right here. Okay, so when you get your annual letter that looks like it comes to you looking kind of like this, that tells you what your income, what your benefits will be.
Okay.
And it's like it's just a piece of paper, and it opens up to like this big thing, and it tells you what your benefit amount is. That's all you need.
And we should get that at the beginning of the year, right?
You should have gotten it probably a month ago. I don't have a date on this, but usually they give it to you. Usually they send it to you in November, I think, because every January, well, not every year, but there's usually like an increase based on cost of living increase that you get, like a 1% increase or whatever based on cost of living. So you should have already gotten it, but since you moved, maybe there's you could probably go online, go to.
I think I got an email online. I don't think
Okay.
I got in the mail, but of course I moved on November 3rd, so God knows whatever happened to my mail, and who knows. Yeah.
I would just go online, and you could probably go to I guess ssa.org or .gov and see what you can find out. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, because I mean, as much as I would love to, I just fade in the afternoon. I'll be good to no one. So
I totally understand. I totally agree.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I know it's a duty and it's a privilege that I would love to do too, but I just know, it's too freaky. So
yeah.
I have been waiting, to get one of those in my lifetime, and it seemed like, I don't know, just seemed like a rite of passage. And then by the time it came, it was COVID times, and I was leaving the state. So I was a little. My doctor said indefinitely on my letter, because she just, she does that for me, and I was just like, well. But Leslie, you can do it all online. I submitted all my paperwork online on the card that they send you. It gives the website, and it has a section for appeals, and if you need to be excused, and you can submit a picture or a PDF of your document.
Okay, I mailed off the whole, gosh darn jury summons, but there's paperwork that came with it. Maybe there's something on that paperwork.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for the information. I'll look into that.
Keep us posted. Definitely reach out to anybody if you get stuck. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
We've got a nice group tonight.
Yes, very nice. It's so good to see everyone. Wow. I guess, Patricia, your phone is on mute, and I just wanted to say hi. I don't know if you know your phone's on mute or if you wanted to contribute. I don't know. Kim or Frank, did either of you talk with Patricia?
Yes, which spoke to her first, when she first came on.
Okay, so maybe she just is choosing to be on mute, which is fine.
Didn't we have her on camera at first?
No, I don't believe Patricia was on camera last month either.
Okay. Oh, last month she was on for a little bit, yeah. But tonight, no.
Briefly.
All right. Well, do we do the, I mean, this is a real quick round robin because there's some new people here and people that haven't met and everything. And so we'll just go around really quick, name, how long you've been diagnosed, where you live, and then we'll get into all the nitty gritty of our lives with multiple sclerosis. I'm Dan. I've been diagnosed with MS for 21 years, and I live in Michigan with her.
And I'm Jennifer. I've been living with MS for 23 years, and I also live in Michigan with him.
And then Patricia's, and I'm just going around clockwise. Patricia's there. I don't know if Patricia wants to unmute, and we can come back to her when I see that she's unmuted. But then let's go right there then to there's Kim.
Hi, I'm Kim. I have relapsing remitting from Des Moines, Iowa, diagnosed in 2012.
Boom. And then we're over then to you. You know what? This is almost like Hollywood Squares. But anyway, so then at the top there, Mary Pettigrew. Where are you from? How long you had it?
Hey, I am from Dallas, Texas, and I've been living with MS for about 20 years. It's now secondary progressive, and hanging in there. Happy to be here, hanging in.
Great to have you. Yes. And so then there at 9 o'clock, or actually that's 3 o'clock. Leslie, where are you from? Where'd you move to that you got summoned for jury duty?
Marina Del Rey, California.
How long have you had MS?
13 years.
13 glorious years. Yes.
Yes.
Then walking back, then Mike Pettipool. Where are you from, Mike?
I'm from Tubac, Arizona, where our founder also lives, Rick Davis. And I've had MS since '98. I got secondary progressive.
Wow. Nice.
I'm glad to be here.
Well,
Yes,
it's good to
thank
see.
you.
It's good to see everybody. This is awesome. And then Hannah, where are you from?
Yeah, well, I'm from San Antonio, Texas. I've had relapsing remitting MS since 2017.
Nice. There's the man of the hour, Frank Austin. Where are you from, Frank?
I only get an hour? I'm
That's
from
all you
Kansas.
need, quality, not quantity.
I'm from Kansas. I was diagnosed with MS in 1997. I have secondary progressive MS, and I'm just living life.
Beautiful. So then we're down to the bottom row there at 7 o'clock. Rocio, where are you from and how long have you had it? It's good to have you back.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here once more. I've had it for 5 years. It got diagnosed in 2015, and it's also remitting. Well, that one.
Yep,
Yeah,
the
red
rest
line.
in
Red
the mid.
line. Yeah, that one.
Nice. It's good to have you back.
Yeah.
Oh, and where are you from?
Oh, sorry. I'm from Mexico.
Oh, I knew you were from Mexico. I didn't know you were in Mexico now.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
yes, I am here.
Oh, wonderful.
Rocio, where in Mexico?
in the center of the country. It's a state called Puebla.
Puebla? Okay.
Yes, it's very pretty, but I want to recommend to visit now.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to visit Puebla. Oh, it's really, really, really pretty. I wasn't born here, but it's really pretty. Someday. Beautiful weather. Yes, someday. Yeah.
So then right there at 6 o'clock is Elizabeth. Where are you from and how long you had it? Good to see you.
Well, I'm living in North Carolina right now, but before that I was in California, and before that I was in North Carolina. So kind of jumping around. But I've had RRMS for almost 17 years.
Wow. And then there last but not least, Michelle, where are you from and how long have you had it?
Tater tot.
I I live in Orlando, Florida, knocking down Disney door, and I was diagnosed in 2015, but I was about 17 when I started having symptoms. So that was, let's do the math. I'm 50 now, so a long time. And so, yeah, pretty much have secondary progressive. My first medication wasn't until 2015. So, and I started on an infusion med when I did start. I started on Tysabri. My first med, and it's the only one I've been on. So yay me.
I think it's really cool, just like as far as cool can be, but just that we go around. I mean, just like well, just that, it's not just relapsing and remitting. I mean, it's like there's a sizable proportion that have progressive forms. That's like, I think that's really as far as good can be. It's just like to be able to talk about everything. So then, why you here tonight? Because we have just a list of things. I think every time we watch the news, the big question, and we can throw it out, and Jennifer can stop me, but COVID vaccine. We've looked at this and everything, and how many, like, show of hands on, like, and Patricia, if you wave your hand, but I mean, how many would take the vaccine when it becomes available to us? Show of hands. See, and I was like,
Yeah, I was definitely on the fence until probably this week. I've started, yeah.
we looked at it. Go ahead, Anna.
I was just going to say I'm still thinking about it, still sort of weighing the options because I did read, Jennifer, the blog post that you put out. I completely 100% agree with what you're saying as far as that's concerned. But I also feel like if I want to do anything with my job, I have to get the vaccine. So and honestly, I love my job, so I would get it if it became available to me easily enough. Of course, all of this is pending whatever my neurologist says. But I've yet to ask what my neurologist says yet.
If you have a job and you want to keep it.
If I have a what?
If you have a job, you'd like to keep it.
It's more like it would enhance my job. It would enhance it. So, and I miss that aspect of being in the hospital. So I would jump at it, if offered to me.
I'm sorry that and I promise I won't jump in as frequently after this. I saw somebody post questions as far as being able to get the vaccine, people with MS, and so it's a very short quote from the MS Society and that their neurologist had kind of put out there, and basically like a quick quote. It says, "At present, there's not enough information available to comment on how the different SARS/COVID vaccines in development would interact with MS or with the disease-modifying therapies, the DMDs." So basically, people are kind of on standby as to that whole thing. It's not a problem if you have an autoimmune disease per se, like just in general. It probably does have something to do with whatever medication that you're on. So that's what they're looking at, and I think it's smart to cover those bases. So
There are actually a couple of the newer drugs that they are recommending, that neurologists are recommending not to take the vaccine. And I can't tell you what they are right off. I can't tell you what they are right off the top of my head, but there are 3 of them, I believe, that they're saying no, don't do it.
Frank, I actually did some reading on that a few weeks ago when it became available in the UK, and the medications that the UK was recommending not do the what's it called? Vaccine. Oh wow. Were the B cell therapies, the ones that
Ocrevus, Kinsempta, and
Kesimpta, what is it? Mavenclad is also immune reducer. Any of the ones that reduce the immune system. So, but the ones like I'm on, like Tysabri, Copaxone, any of these drugs that were Tysabri and older are probably going to be fine.
The interesting thing about it, there were no MS patients allowed to be in the control groups for the
Yeah,
clinical trials. None.
yeah, I know. I
That
heard that
makes
too.
sense. That makes sense to me though, because
Well, of
they have
course.
to take out that. I mean, it makes sense to me from a scientific perspective that you wouldn't put that group in there. But yeah, then it's frustrating because like, well, I don't know. I know I saw primitive data coming out of Spain from some MS doctors saying that the three drugs was Ocrevus, Concepta, and then rituximab was the problem with the immunity with the CD20s that you may not. Well, first of all, the timing may be a problem. So with Ocrevus, you may not be able to get it until right before. So that like twice a year you get the injection. But the other problem is you may not have a big immune response. So instead of being like 90 something infective, it may be 79. It may be lower than that. You may not have any kind of, it might be not effective enough because your body's not producing immune response to it. So you could get it, but it may not do anything for you because your immune system's so throttled by the medication you're taking, not because of the MS itself.
Yeah. Dr. Brandon Beaver put out a really good video that I watched yesterday on that very thing, and it's
That's
Dr.
what I was reading. I was reading him on Twitter.
Research, and it's like it's it's a little concerning because like timing it, like I've got to take my Ocrevus in January, so it's a little bit of a, well, do I wait on my Ocrevus? I was a month late on my Ocrevus last infusion in July. That was a month late, and I was having really I was really struggling because I was really going through the crap gap. But so do I just take my Ocrevus infusion and then wait to get the vaccine until the half-life and everything is over and like a month before I get my next Ocrevus infusion, or do I hold off a little bit and try to get the vaccine first and then do the Ocrevus infusion? But yeah, go ahead, May.
I was going to say, I'm so glad that you brought that up, because even though I raised my hand saying yes as far as the vaccine, I'm still in the holding pattern as far as starting Kesimpta. And I've had, prior to getting on that drug, I had to have my flu shot and my shingles vaccines, which I've done. So everything's done. So now with the COVID vaccine, it raises the question of, okay, because Kesimpta is a once a month injection, I can either postpone, depending on when I will be, we will be able to get the vaccine. So I can either postpone starting Kesimpta and get the COVID vaccine done, okay? Or if I'm on Kesimpta and then all of a sudden several months later, it's like, okay, now are you ready for the COVID vaccine? I'll have to get off of the Kesimpta for a length of time, then be safe to take the vaccine, wait for a length of time, and then get back on Kesimpta. So it's really kind of funky, and I'm curious to see how that's going to go. So
It's just all weighing the pros and cons.
Well, one thing we haven't said, nobody's mentioned, whatever we do, we need to contact and make sure that our neurologist is on board.
Yeah.
I personally would what I'm going to do is, I have my infusion scheduled for the 30th, so I could just put a note in through, the files and just let it filter through. And he'll get back to me via email, just right on there, just, return via email. But, for anybody else listening, just send a note through your portal to your neurologist saying, you'd like information on whether or not you would be a good candidate for the vaccine and if he or she would recommend it. And they'll get back with you on that. I mean, it may not be immediately, and just say you're willing to wait for the response. Obviously, we have time to wait, but putting the question out there now kind of gives that doctor a, you know what, maybe I need to contact everybody that's on this med and
Mhm.
or put out
Yeah.
a statement to all the patients on, for whatever, maybe on their Facebook profile page or their Twitter page or wherever, they would normally contact their wide swath of patient.
Yeah.
But I think for me, just going ahead and being preemptive isn't the word, but kind of getting it out there early and just saying, hey, go ahead and send the question out there, and give him time to respond, because he may not have all the information. I mean, my neurologist happens to be in the realm of worldwide research, so I'm sure he already knows how he's going to respond to that question. But what if you're in a rural area and your neurologist probably isn't necessarily at the height of current information? Getting that question out there to them now while we're in a holding pattern on, in our line, and, holding pattern as to where we stand in line, really makes good sense, because they might not think about you unless you let them know you're there.
So Michelle, saying that, and I guess I could ask everyone, will you feel more comfortable getting the vaccine when someone in your community gets it? Like, let's say Hannah or Kim or Frank gets the vaccine and I can say they've got the MS. That makes me feel a little more confident. Or if you're on a social network like Facebook or Twitter and you see somebody from the community, I realize it's important to get the neurologist perspective, but it feels to me, this is just me, like a little more comforting to know one of my people, one of my brethren is also getting the vaccine.
I
Jen,
agree.
I would get the
Yeah.
vaccine
Well,
for you,
okay.
Jen, so you feel comfortable.
Well, thank you,
Hold
Kim.
on. Hold
That
on. Let me
brings up.
answer that, because actually for me, I really don't. To me, that I don't necessarily need peer. I'm trying to think of the right words, but I would say peer camaraderie or peer support in that area. For me, that's a really personal decision, but I'm really confident in my doctors, and I know how my medication works. So I know that my immune system isn't reduced. I've also learned about what this vaccine is made up of. And so for me, just knowing that information and the fact that I personally don't have negative reactions to drugs. I've been in drug trials. I enjoy putting that information out there, kind of being the go ahead for other people. If you're the kind of person who would like to see that peer camaraderie or peer support in that
I
area,
don't think it's
then
necessarily
hey,
like,
look to me, because I'm going to tell you, look, I always respond, or typically respond, very positively to drugs. But
well, Michelle, I think the point that I'm making is if I find another person taking Rituxan and they tolerate the medication, they figure out when they can take the vaccine in correlation with when we can take our infusion. I think that personally, I'm not looking for like peer pressure or anything like that. I'm just looking for another person that has done it. I think that will make me feel more confident.
Yeah, that brings up a couple questions for me. One is, do we move ahead in line? Like, are we more at a disadvantage? No. So we should not be getting it any sooner. Okay, and then the next one is, yes, Jennifer, I like what you're saying. I sure would like to know other people that have taken it, how they reacted. Like, we know it's gonna, you kind of get for 24, 48 hours, it's gonna hit you pretty hard. If not the first dose, they say the second dose is gonna hit you really hard. And I would like to know how others with MS react to that, because they say you'll have a fever, and you know how fevers can affect us. So yeah, I'm with you, Jennifer. I sure would like to stay in touch and hear from anybody with MS that
Well,
gets it. Yes.
I think that when you're talking about, because we all know that MS is such, affects everyone differently. And,
Right.
and so then, yeah, it's just like, so it's one thing, so if my neurologist tells me that I should be okay with it,
Yeah.
and somebody else who's taking, Ocrevus, Copaxone, Tysabri, whatever,
Mhm.
and tolerates it well, I'm thinking, okay, well, that's cool. But it's almost like I want a guinea pig like me who's taking beta seron, and how does that affect you? Because
Right.
I'm on the beta seron, and so it's just like that's how, and I think that, our beta seron is like, it sounds like it's among those who that aren't like at risk, as it were. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just like, it's like if a new restaurant, like, this is like totally cheapening it, so I get this, but it's like if a new restaurant opens in town and I hear other people review it and stuff, say, oh, it's a great restaurant. Well, it means a lot more if one of my BFFs, if I can have a BFF, goes there and tries it and says that's a great
Right.
thing. Well, I want to have somebody I know who's tried the vaccine, because yeah, I'm not
Right.
anti-vaccine. I just want more data or proof for people like me.
Yeah. See, I'm not on any DMDs, so I'm just straight out, high, high, what's it called? Hyperimmunity. So I don't even know if that, what's my body going to think when that's injected into me? Is it going to, tolerate it or go, off the charts? That's another thing I want to learn.
I wanted an international perspective, so I'm gonna ask Rocio. Have you guys, did Mexico approve the drugs before the U.S.? Are you still waiting to approve it? How is Mexico dealing with the vaccines? Oh, I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
She
It's different
unmuted.
here. First of all, I think well, I think we're getting a different vaccine from you. We're getting the Pfizer vaccine.
Yeah, that makes sense because the whole what
Yep.
is it what's it called, Operation Warp Speed thing, that's only for the United States. So every all the different countries, I think, are receiving these things in different stages. Yeah, you're right, Rocio. Yeah.
Yeah, it's different. And in here they already released the calendar. For example, the first 6 months, all people older than 60 will get the vaccine. And so to get my age, probably I get the vaccine in 2022. That's the first one. So yeah, that's a bad one. But as I'm going to be starting being the first front line working in a hospital next January 1st, maybe I would be in the line. Because of course, workers, the
I think you
health
will.
service, they are the ones that need to get first. Because, well. But I think that, as Frank said, there are no studies. There were no studies made in people with MS. But as Kim said, it's because that's a protocol. The protocol is that you must test that in healthy people first of all. So I think as Jennifer also said, I would need more data. I need my neurologist to agree that I should take it, and also know about experiences from other patients that are under the same treatment that I am. But in that case, I think if they would offer it to me, as in the next month, I think I would decline it, as I wouldn't know what the effect would be.
That's interesting.
I think we need to, there were people with MS that were in the trials. They didn't do a separate study just for people with MS because they haven't had the time available to do separate studies. I know they're working on the pregnancy study right now. They're starting it in January, actually. But
Well,
there were people with MS in the clinical trials. I've heard of 5 people at least so far that have come out and said it.
There's
it's
this
still
one.
not kids under 16. It's still not approved for, right?
Yeah.
It's only for 16 and up right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought.
There's this one. I really don't. I'm not a member of a ton of MS groups on Facebook, just a handful. But this one group I'm in, women with MS. There's this one woman. Her name is Jennifer Grenier. She works in the healthcare industry, but she's also in a wheelchair and she has MS. She posted. I'll send it to y'all. But she posted this image of her. She's holding her little card here, and she says that she just received the COVID vaccine. So I'm not friends with her. I don't know her, but I will, just for fun and information, I will follow up with her and let y'all know some interesting information, if any. So I just found that
Well,
interesting.
maybe invite her to the next meeting.
I
yeah.
will. She lives in New Mexico, so I will. I'll friend her and see where that goes. Yeah.
Actually, I wanted to comment on Michelle, what you said about people with MS. For example, the vaccine that we're getting here in Mexico, the Pfizer one. In August, there were 2 that I recall. There were 2 patients that were on the trial, and suddenly they had this syndrome, and they didn't know what happened. They were all they didn't want to let people know. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear. We can't see you, but we can hear you.
Okay, yeah. I think something's wrong with the camera. Oh, well, they were about those 2 people, and later on, a few days after, they released information that those 2 healthy people that were on the protocol actually turned out that they had MS, but it hadn't appeared yet. But because of the vaccine,
Okay.
they developed it earlier. So that in August gave me a bit
voice
of
was
chills.
cutting
I thought
out, and so
about the vaccine that they are developing.
Rocio, your voice cut out a few times in there, so we didn't hear what you were saying.
I think what she said was that there were a couple of people that got the vaccine that didn't know that they had MS, but then developed it faster because they got the vaccine. Yes. We can't do causation, but they did not know they had it and found out they had MS after the vaccine. Did I get that right, Rocio? Yes! I can interpret.
Yeah, that was completely correct.
But that is.
Yeah, there was. I think there was one that wasn't MS. That was the first one we heard about when they were first doing the trial. But all vaccines have. I mean, not just this one, but all vaccines have the potential to bring out or even cause someone to get an autoimmune disorder, whether it be MS or any of the other biggies. You know, there is that potential just by taking any vaccine. Even a flu vaccine can cause it. It's one of the super rares, and it can happen to anybody. So, I mean, anybody that gets a vaccine takes that risk.
I have to say, this vaccine is different than any vaccine that's ever been out on the market.
Yeah, I know. It's an RNA vaccine, and they were actually talking about that on Sirius XM today when I was going to get my oil changed. And so I was listening to it, and the way that it's different is that it has a small portion of the base RNA of all vaccine for corona. And whether it be SARS or COVID or any of these base diseases like that, but it has a small bit of the RNA. And what it does is, whether it's because people are talking about the mutation over in UK, and that's what the whole subject was, and they were asking what if getting this vaccine is going to be effective, regardless of, which mutation you end up getting. And for instance, the flu vaccine is only good for the strain that you get. So they have 4 or 5 different vaccines according to the different strains, and every year they decide which one would be most virulent, and they put that vaccine out. So they might put out vaccine number D, but you might get strain number A, and so you might get the flu anyway. So, because the vaccine that you got isn't good for the strain that you got. So the difference for this vaccine being created under RNA instead of the dead vaccine itself, it means that it takes that tiny bit of information, and that's what's injected into you. It's not a dead virus. It's not the whole thing. So I'm sorry, I'm having trouble with my brain over the last couple of days. Just bear with me. So when it's injected into the body will recognize it. The immune system recognizes it as foreign. And because you don't have an entire virus, the body will recognize it, and then the immune system will start to attack it, and it starts to build. The virus will create itself. I mean, those weren't the words they used, but this kind of like, it has to go through a full creation stage and then build an immunity. So regardless of whatever type of strain you end up getting, the virus will have an immunity base to it, or the body will create an immunity base that will attack whichever strain of the virus that you get, regardless of how it mutates now or in the future. The only point we don't know at this stage is how long that immunity will last.
I just think it's incredible. We met, 2 weeks ago, our last meeting, and we were just talking about COVID and the hypotheticals. And now here 2 weeks later, we have vaccines on the market. So what's it going to be like when we meet next time at the beginning of January? I mean, it's just crazy. And I think, I see so many of us are smiling. If you think back to like this summer when we were just like, oh my gosh, is this ever going to end? That we can honestly see that potentially it could. It's like, I feel hopeful.
Let me just interrupt, because when you say next time, so we're not scrambling at the end of the meeting. So you can write it on your calendar now. The next meeting will be on January 12th. So there. So we're not.
Oh, it's 3 weeks. It's 3 weeks,
Yeah,
because
because
there's
it'll be the
5 in
second.
December. There's 5 Tuesday. Thank you for pointing that
Yeah,
out,
because
because
I
I was
know
gonna
like
mess
we're
up.
at 10 o'clock, it's like, I don't know what's the next meeting. It's okay on 12. And I also then want to comment, do you remember a simpler time when all we had to worry about was multiple sclerosis? That's
Oh, there
We're
was a
doing pretty
time.
well though. You have to admit, we're resilient people. Come on, you gotta give you guys
And when
some,
you see the vaccines and stuff, for those of us who've been on the injectable medications for years, it's like, yeah, I got this. I know how to mix that sucker. So anyway, all right.
Yeah.
But I want to add to what that lady, I'm sorry, I didn't see her, so I didn't see her name talking about Rochelle, talking about the vaccine, because I read that same story that you're talking about. And it was very interesting because they say, yes, it's not like a virus that they inject into you. It puts the information in the cell, and then like a Snapchat, it disappears. Then your body is supposed to have the information it needs to then attack any virus that
To build,
enters
to
your
build
body.
whichever
Right,
immunity you need. Yeah.
right. It sounded, it's so interesting. I only understood it from a lay
Fascinating.
person, but it sounded so interesting that it like the Snapchat, it just disappears once
And
it's,
and
yeah.
Leslie, that was Michelle that was talking.
Yes, that was Michelle,
Oh,
not me.
Michelle.
I
Okay.
apologize. I
Just
said the wrong person.
just because I know you can't see everyone's face
Yeah.
on
I'll
your
have to try and get on my desktop next time and see if I can see more people.
well,
Yeah.
we're just so happy that you're here. So
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Let me ask this then, as we're talking about, our body's immune system attacking whatever, blah, 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 does that not freak you out as a person with multiple sclerosis with the quote unquote autoimmune disease where it's like our immune system is attacking ourselves already? So,
Oh,
hey, let's
yeah. Oh,
get
totally.
something with it
Even,
where it's
yeah,
going to
even getting
pass
the
off.
virus, what freaks me out about this virus is, I don't know. Okay, I have this hyperimmunity. I don't know if it would, attack the virus. Maybe I wouldn't even get sick. Maybe I won't even get it. Or I've read, unfortunately, another story that said that my body could go like exponentially off the charts in attacking God knows what. So it's like I'm just so freaked out. I'm not leaving the house. I'm just locked down. It's just, yeah.
Well, you know what? They're also talking about, and I saw this several months ago. They've reported this. I guess I can't remember where the sources were, but I saw it in my recent AARP health bulletin. But they're looking at the interesting factor of blood type, where for some reason people with type O blood types tend to have a little bit more of a resistance for virus protection and getting sick compared to type A people. Like my mom is type O, I'm type A, so that's just something they've been talking about in their study.
Yeah,
There's
I read that too.
much, yeah,
Yeah.
so much to study. It's really quite fascinating. But oh, gosh, Leslie, you said something. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Okay, so I mentioned earlier as far as my Kesimpta, and then just in general as far as viruses, I've never with my MS. I get sick a lot. I get a lot of respiratory crap. I get colds, and I get that stuff. But I always get the flu shot, and I never have any issues. And like I said, I just had the shingles vaccine, except for the sore arm. Fine. I had the pneumonia vaccine last year because I did have pneumonia a year and a half ago. So so I react fine to those vaccines. Obviously, this Frank, like you were saying earlier, this COVID vaccine is very, very, very different for obvious reasons. So.
Yeah.
There's still question marks there, but this is good. This is excellent conversation. I mean, and Jennifer, like you were saying, it's a very different conversation compared to probably what you guys were talking about a couple weeks ago.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is there a new person joining us on the telephone right now?
It's Tom out in Phoenix, Arizona.
Oh,
That's Patty's brother. I just tried to walk him through getting online for the last 45 minutes, but it didn't work. And maybe because they don't have the right software downloaded. So I just had them call in instead because we finally gave up and until I can meet with them in person and try to get them on.
Totally
okay. Well,
understood.
thank you. And Patricia, your brother's name is
Tom, he just
That's
talked.
right.
So he's the caller. He's the caller and he's 45 minutes away from me.
Hi,
He's the
Tom.
MSer that you love. Welcome, Tom.
Yes, Tom.
Hi. How's everybody? At least finally cool off in Phoenix for a while. Last summer was terrible.
Well, glad you're here. Glad you're here.
Of course, New York was
Tom,
a little
it
bit cooler.
cooled down in Orlando too. We're 53.
I used to live in Oviedo, Florida. That was in my territory.
Oh, that's right around the corner from me.
Yeah, I lived in Stillwater. My wife and I and kids lived in Stillwater. Then we moved up to Tucson. Took the U-Haul truck all the way with all our furniture all the way to Tucson, across I-10.
Okay.
Anyway.
Okay. Well, anyway, you can go ahead with what you're talking about, but he joined, so that's who you see.
Well,
Yeah.
thanks for getting him on. This is
Thanks.
great.
Yeah, it's nice for you to be here tonight. Thanks, Patricia.
We've been talking about the COVID vaccine. That's been our hot topic tonight, Tom.
Yeah.
Okay. I've been
Which we
watching
would
on
like to
TV.
hear more, and I missed a lot of what you were talking about, unfortunately. But
Well, that's why we
I guess
record it, so you can watch it later.
we'll go back and listen to it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
So
fine.
I hate to be a party pooper, you guys, but I have to go.
Oh, Hannah,
Oh, so good to see your face.
Hannah, have a good holiday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hannah, before you go, I just want to just say something. Did you know that we have two TV celebrities in our midst? We have Elizabeth and Hannah are both in the Ocrevus commercial on television. So I just had to do a little shout out there. I think it's really cool. So
Yay!
Congrats. The commercial on Facebook at least a dozen times in the last 2 days.
Aw.
I'm
Yeah,
going to sign off now too. As I said, I'm happy to join you. I've had a hard day, but I was so happy, grateful
Good luck,
that
Lexi.
you
Yeah.
have this group. Yeah.
Good luck, and please reach out to us anytime.
Thank you.
You know, and hopefully we'll see you in January.
January
When
12th. I have it on my calendar.
All right.
What's
Take care.
Thank you.
Well, Merry
Happy
Christmas.
holidays to
Yes.
everyone and
yes.
Happy New Year.
Holidays.
Happy holidays, Leslie.
Happy holidays.
Thank you.
Good
Bye.
seeing all of you guys.
You too, Hannah. Happy holidays.
Y'all take care,
Bye.
okay?
Take care. We'll see you in January.
Bye.
Yep, January.
Bye-bye.
I'm gonna get rid of my Santa hat. My head, it's itching my head. So hang
I
on.
love the Santa hat.
It's got to go away. It's got to go away. It's driving me crazy.
The one thing about the vaccine that does concern me, which is a little on the different side, is I'm concerned by when it's been out for a while. So people are like, oh, I don't need to do this social distancing. I don't need to wear a mask. And I'm going, I can't use the vaccine yet because I haven't had the time, but my little fusion schedule, or I got it, but I don't know how effective it is. So that's my concern, because I know people a little too well because I gave too many flu shots in the day. Or it's like, oh, flu shot, I'm good to go. It's like, dude, you need to wait at least 2 weeks before you get a response to your body. Don't be doing that. So yeah, that's my fear, is people will be like, I got the vaccine. I don't need to do any social distancing and mask. I'm fine. And I'm just,
We're going to see that. We're going to see it. We're going to see it. We're going to see it. And all I can do is just shake my head. But,
So I actually might go underground even more, because if I can't go to the grocery store and Target because they're not enforcing mask rules and hygiene, I'm not going to feel comfortable anymore with the limited amount I do already.
I think it's putting a lot of faith in our fellow man that they will get both. It's a vaccine with two parts. If people want to go get the first one and be like, oh, I'm good.
And I believe they cannot charge for the vaccine, but they can charge for the administration of it, if I understand correctly. I got a shady thing I got to download the other day about. I don't know if I want to share it with you guys or not.
Do
share it.
I won't share the company, but I will say a large pharmacy is contracted to give out pharmacy shots to nursing homes. It's a retail pharmacy. And
okay. I think I know who you're talking about.
It's one of the retail pharmacies, and so they don't have a lot of staff because they've been downsizing staff since the last economic 2007, 2008. So they're already skeletons. So they're trying to convince pharmacists to come in. They're trying to do a $10,000 signing bonus. However, this is the key. You have to work for them for a year, but when you're signing on to do this, it's only a 3-month contract. So essentially, you're just borrowing the money for 3 months, and then you get to pay it back with interest. That is shady as heck. Just put it out there. Because the people who retire
Yeah.
that you want to bring back, if you're in that age to retire, do you want to go back and give shots to people in nursing homes? That's like the last place I want to be. Anyway, I found that out and I found like, ooh, that is shady. Shady.
Follow up and keep us posted on that little ditty.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So how is, I mean, now that we've talked COVID and we're all like comfortable with each other, how's everyone doing? I mean, is there anything, Dan always asks the question, like, what did you come here to talk about tonight? Is there anything in particular?
Well,
Okay, I've got a weird new symptom that popped up.
Wow.
You know me, I've got all the weird ones.
And
So
$10 says somebody's had it. So go ahead.
that's what I'm hoping. Okay, so I did a sleep study recently because I was really concerned that I was narcoleptic because I would fall asleep throughout the day or when I would be tired from either reading, like if I read a New York Times article, I would fall asleep narcoleptically within the like third paragraph. You know, New York Times is intense to read. It's got a lot of information packed into it, and their sentences are very complex. Or at least for my brain, that's the way it is. So I was beginning to get really concerned because while I was awake, I was starting to drop things. And my neuro tested my hands and we didn't, notice any. Well, I just saw my problems list. And it says that I have hand weakness now. But so he sent me in to his colleague that's a sleep specialist. I ordered a complex sleep study. So I did the CPAP test and then the overnight napping test. And I came up with something like non-stolumous, or I can't tell you. I'd have to look at it again and spell it. But just lost my train of thought. Okay, so the symptom is two things. Like it feels like my brain is being squeezed or tremoring, like in the front of my head it'll tremor, or somewhere in the back here it feels like it's tremoring or something, like actually inside the skull. And then the other symptom started 2 days ago, maybe 3 now. I've lost my track of time. But just around this part of my head, and it was like a vice grip on my head. And it was so intense that it was like forcing all the muscles along just the left side of my face, which I'm left affected on the MS. Okay. So and it felt like after I'd had this symptom for a while, like several hours, it felt like my eyelid was just, so drained of energy. It was not opening. And I didn't realize that severeness was happening until I noticed it, which 90% of the day had passed by then. But it was just, and I've had recurring smaller instances of it. It took an entire day for that headache, I'm calling it a headache, to go away. But I haven't been able to find anything online. So if anybody can chime in and tell me what this is, and if you watch this after it's been posted, just send me a direct message.
Wow.
Have you contacted your neurologist, Michelle?
Well, I go in for my infusion on the 30th, so I plan on, I'm just at this point I'm taking notes on the symptom because it is so new to me. I don't know if it's, a new type of migraine I might have developed or something else. And it's not related to the medication I was given for the sleeping problems. So because it was happening in small bits prior to getting on the medication.
Yeah, well,
So
Do me a
Michelle,
favor, Michelle. Look at the camera and then look straight into your camera and smile. Okay.
why did I do that?
Well, Rocio will tell you, but my first thought is Bell's palsy, so I was looking for paralysis on one side. Rocio can tell you more because she knows more than I do. So.
Oh no, please, no.
Well,
Yeah,
I
was
do
thinking
have
the
one of
same.
my symptoms is cervical dystonia. So yeah, I do have a small bit of blepharospasm on my left eye.
Oh yeah, no, but at the first when you were describing your symptoms, I thought facial paralysis, as Kim said. Actually, I looked myself at the screen a lot because I had facial paralysis and it's stuck there, and I have to work with it and remind myself to smile correctly both sides. But also, I don't know, you might have had a flare up. I don't know. I haven't had those symptoms, but if it already lasted more than 24 hours, I don't know.
Michelle, your descriptions resonated with me because I've been having strange headaches too. And at first I was worried that it could be a side effect of the clinical trial medication that I was taking. I was in the clinical trial for lesinab, which is the remyelination medication. But I think, like you said, I think it started before I started on the trial, and it'll be the kind of like pulsing pain, and it'll move all around, and sometimes it'll be so intense that it just feels like my brain is bleeding or severely bruised. Like it feels like it's like my brain like inside my head, and it's very different from other headaches. And I've never had migraines, though I have a family history of migraines. Like these were the first, and my neurologist described them as mild migraines, but they can get quite intense. And just this last couple of weeks, it kind of changed, and it was like I had my mom check my head for lice like 3 times because I was convinced, that you can get those crawling sensations too sometimes, and the itchy.
Exactly. Oh my God.
I was like, there's gotta be lice out there.
I totally get that, and it drives me bonkers. Exactly. Oh.
Yeah, I had occipital neuralgia or occipital migraines for, I think, 2015 through 2016. And I described those as caterpillars. They run up both sides of your head. Like if you had an imaginary spine that would go all the way up the top of your skull. So just imagine that line in the center. And an occipital neuralgia or occipital migraine will go up both sides of that imaginary spine. And it terminates at the eyebrow. And so mine were meat hook caterpillars. Their little feet were meat hooks, and so they would crawl up the sides of my head all the way over to the top, terminate at my eyebrow, and then start again. And that occurred for almost a year. And you get used to it after a while, but yeah, it's like a painful tingle. It's not fun.
Oh, it does.
But I had like the severe migraines growing up. So maybe if they do determine that migraine can be one of the leading symptoms for MS, I started getting those when I was 15.
Wow.
And do you have, when you're having not the migraines but these other headaches, do they have any visual disturbances or nausea that accompanies it, like migraines? No. Yeah, I'm not.
No, I have actually in my file, it is written as migraine without aura. And yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I haven't had any for a long time, and my gabapentin had been increased to 300. My sleep doctor seems to think that maybe the gabapentin and baclofen are contributing to my sleep problems. So we're having to reset my sleep, and non-solument. Maybe that's the right way to say it. And so, yeah, now I'm the first time in my life. Well, I've tried Ritalin once for 30 days and hated it. Didn't do anything for me. I didn't want to be on a controlled substance if it wasn't going to actually work. But now I'm on another controlled substance to try that one, and I hate the idea of being on one.
It's interesting, not to belittle what you're saying, Michelle, but you said gabapentin, and as soon as you said it, I looked at Dan and I'm like, "Did you take yours yet?" So that's where he is. He'll be
Yeah.
right back. But that's how this community works. We all help each other.
Thanks, Michelle.
Oh, you're welcome.
So how
Let
are
me
you?
check and make sure I took my meds. Hang on.
Yeah, we should include this
Hey,
in all
everyone pause, med check,
med
3,
check.
2, 1. All right, good. That's done. So,
That's cute.
so Tom, not to put you on the spot, but it's good to have you here. I mean, what brought you here tonight? I mean, your sister was here last time, and it's like we were anxious to hear your story and how you're doing.
I just wanted to see how many people around Phoenix have MS. I was out on the golf course playing golf, and then coming down the fairway, and my foot started to drag, and my left side is bad, and my left arm is bad, but I don't have pain. I just can't really walk without a walker. But I probably shouldn't be driving the car, but I can drive. My right foot's good. If I had to drive a car, I could, but
Patricia.
not sure how driving test.
How long ago were you diagnosed, Tom?
Just 2 years ago, 2018, and I'm going to be 65 in May. So not that long ago. I mean, I lived my whole life. I went from Richmond, Indiana to Atlanta, Georgia, and lived in Roswell and Lawrenceville and Norcross, and then I moved down to Florida. Lived in Oviedo, Florida. My wife and I had kids moved down there, and then we moved across I-10 to Tucson, and then my aunt and uncle were down in Tucson. Used to go out there in college.
And are you in Arizona now, Tom?
Yes, I am. I'm in Phoenix. I used to be in Tempe. My kids are grown.
There's someone also on the conversation tonight. Mike is also in Arizona, correct, Mike?
That's correct, as is Rick.
Yes, and Rick. So Tom and Mike are.
Tom.
Yeah, I'm in Ahwatukee or Phoenix, but I'm near I-10. I'm just 5 minutes from I-10, and I can get back to my house in Tempe, which I sold last year. My wife died, so I'm looking for another wife. If any of you know anyone out this way, I'd like to meet them. I know there's one down in
Women or
Maricopa.
houses?
Oh, woman.
just wanted to clarify that.
Get a house. But yeah, so my wife died here. She came in from the pool and tripped and broke her hip in the laundry room.
Oh, goodness.
And then I had to call the paramedics and take her to the hospital. I think she went to Banner Desert, which is only about 10 minutes from her house. So she was there for a month. And she went to the rehab place, which is in Brookdale, down off 101 between Warner and Ray. But that didn't do any good. Then she home, and she was in hospice at home. And she died on April the 18th, about 2:15 in the morning. So we're both
yeah,
we're both we were both in the same high school and junior high, and we were only lived about 5 minutes apart when we were kids.
And
Sorry to hear.
I know.
And Tom, you were diagnosed with a more progressive form of the disease, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah, advanced progressive.
Okay.
Primary
I've
progressive.
been reading. So I've been to a class out in Mesa with several people with MS, but some of them can actually lay down on the floor and get right back up. So I don't think they're that bad. I can't lay down on the floor. You have to help me up. Like we've had the paramedics here 25 times to get me up off the floor.
Tom, when were you
Have you been
diagnosed? I
to
can't
a,
remember.
I
have you
guess it
been
was
to
late.
go ahead.
No, it's been probably late summer. It was hot. In late August or September of 2018,
Okay.
27. But I used to fly from here to. I'd fly out to Richmond, Virginia, because the company I was working for was Weidmuller, which is out in Virginia. They're in Richmond, Virginia. And so I'd fly over every year. I'd fly out there, and then I'd fly to Dallas. And then I was working for Honeywell as a resident supplier up at I-17 in Union Hills up here. I used to fly out there a couple times a year to go to meetings. And then I was going to fly up to Las Vegas one time, and my dad called me and said, turn on the TV. And then that was 9/11. So I turned on the TV, and all the flights stopped for a while. So I just drove my car up to Albuquerque, and because my territory was Arizona and New Mexico, so there, and so I just flew to New Mexico and calling a customer in Durango, Colorado. That's kind of a neat place. I like Durango, but it's so close to the border. I thought I might as well go up from Albuquerque because I had a customer in Farmington, Mexico. So I used to drive from Farmington up to Durango. It's only, probably half an hour. Anyway, I've been to Flagstaff, Sedona, and all over Arizona.
Do you have a neurologist that you see in Arizona, Tom?
Yeah, I do have I had the first doctor I went to was in Mesa, and then I wanted to get a second opinion. This is way back when this first started. To a different doctor down in Gilbert, Dr. Joy. He was the one that diagnosed it as MS. And so I have a handler, Dr. Raven. That's the one I go to lately. In fact, I guess I'll be going back to see him in early January. But it doesn't seem to make a difference. And I get my infusion next Monday of Ocrevus, so that'll be here at the Elliott Warner Loop. Yeah, okay, Vasco.
Okay.
Yeah. So I get my
Tom,
next
have they
infusion.
scheduled you for any physical therapy with a neurological physical therapist yet?
Well, we've had a physical therapist here, but it doesn't seem to do any good.
You haven't had them long enough.
Yeah, you have to do it several times. You have to work on it at home too. But they'll teach you how to get up off the floor on your own so that you don't have to call, hopefully you don't have to call paramedics or fire to do that. But they'll also help to, correct some of the muscular deficits if possible.
Also, Tom, occupational therapy can be really helpful for altering anything in your home to make it easier if you fall to get up, or And they do some, you know, physical therapy along with it, but mostly practical things on making it easier to live with any difficulties you're having.
I'm interested in how many people in the group have primary progressive MS, or is it secondary?
There are a few of us, Tom, that have secondary progressive, but at this point, the group tonight, you are the only person living with primary progressive MS. And
Okay.
that's why I think it's so fantastic that you're here. And Patricia, no pressure on you. But if you can get Tom to figure out how we can see him next month, I think that would be super wonderful. If you want to come back, Tom, so we could talk more.
Did anybody go to the meeting at the Hyatt down by the airport when we had like hundreds of people down there? Because I was at that meeting at the Hyatt and then the Marriott, but there weren't as many people at the Marriott, but there were 200 or 300 at least at the Hyatt.
That was an MS, I think of an Arizona MS meeting, not this one now is an international one.
Were there other people living with primary progressive?
The doctor came down from Denver. Dr. Gett, I think was his name. There were a bunch.
I don't think there have been many primary progressive at the meetings.
Okay.
Because it only impacts fewer than 15%, and if they're like him, a lot of them would have a hard time even getting out. Probably if they've had it longer and are in worse shape. So.
Okay. Well, that's why it's so good that you guys you're both
this
here.
Is just had some people come up from northern Mexico, but this was only for Arizona area.
Yeah, Tom, we have Rocio is here from Mexico, Michelle's in Florida, Elizabeth in the Carolinas. We have people, Iowa, Texas, Kansas, all over the country. So this is a pretty diverse group.
I was going to say, the Southwest is still represented, so.
I used to go to Mexico.
Because it's not quite as late there. As it is where you are.
I used to have a customer in Nogales, and I've been to Hermosillo. That's as far as I've gone. But I have relatives that go down to Rocky Point all the time.
Okay.
I've never been there, but I've been to Nogales for business several times. That was a good customer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But okay, now I don't do anything like that. I just stay at home right now. You go outside when it's warm enough, but not too hot.
Yeah.
They'll move up to pay.
We're all in that same boat where none of us with the COVID are leaving very much.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm so social distanced. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Social distancing before it was cool. I'm well versed in just spending swaths of time at home and not seeing people very much, with both with MS and being a mom of young kids.
Who goes to the store? Does somebody else go to the store for you to get groceries, or do you go yourself?
Well, right now I'm living with my parents and my brother because my parents are helping me homeschool the kids during the pandemic. But before, I'm living in North Carolina right now. And before that, I was living in California. And so I was able to get everything delivered that I needed, which was a nice thing about being in Southern California, to get everything delivered.
I've been over to the beach.
You moved all the way across the country, Elizabeth.
My husband I went on RV share and we rented a travel trailer and we drove across, my husband drove us across the country, and I can't drive because of my nystagmus and my difficulty with turning my neck, and that will set off the nystagmus, so I can't check my blind spots. And yeah, so he drove the whole way with 2 little kids in the back, and then we drove till late at night, and then pulled at a RV campsite and slept and started the next day.
Have you ever been to Catalina
Wow.
Island?
What? Catalina?
Yes.
I still want to go to
Yeah.
Catalina Island. I still haven't been, Tom. That's still on my bucket list.
I've been out there before. We went to Long Beach, and then we took the, I guess the boat out to Catalina Island. That was fun.
Catalina
Went
Fly.
to watch the jazz tracks out there in Catalina. I like jazz. So depending on what kind of music you like, you can see all kinds of stuff. Catalina Island. I stayed there overnight a couple times. That's a nice place to go. I've been to San Diego to the beach.
Oh, my dad lives in San Diego. San Diego is beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah, it is. So is Destin, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we used to go there. We took the kids down there when we were living in Florida, so there's a nice beach down there. You could walk out about a quarter mile, and it's all white sand. Very nice. Now there are always high-rise buildings down there, like 40 stories high. But it used to be just 2-3 stories. We stayed in a Holiday Inn down there in Destin. It was only 3 stories tall, but had a revolving restaurant, kind of like the Hilton in downtown Phoenix that revolves around once an hour. Kind of nice. So anyway, that was fun.
So Tom and Patricia,
Yeah.
Frank and Mike and everyone, a lot of people are exchanging email addresses. It's going on the side, like on the chat window. I don't know if Tom, you would like to share your information with some of us in the group, or if Patricia, if you want to take down some of our information, just so that in the interim we can stay in contact. Or Mike, if you want to share any information. I don't know how, like, if anybody feels comfortable, but anybody that's given us, this is awesome that we can stay in touch that way.
So we don't have to wait till the next meeting. That's
3 weeks
3
away.
weeks, January 12th. That's my mom's birthday, so if you want to send her a birthday card, that would be really nice.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes, Frank.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
What if we can create a private group on Facebook for just our people?
Hold on a minute, Frank. Hold on a minute, because I was just going to say, we have a forum on here. Doesn't get used much, but you can have your own private forum for the MS site on this. It's all built, and we've used it a little bit, but let me do this. I will send to the organizers the instructions on how to use it. It's pretty easy. And then you can just set it up and you can just have your own private forum on the site. Is that a good idea?
Good.
I may have to call Jackie to help her remind me. But the funny thing is, we haven't used the damn forums since we set them up properly. And this is the second time today I was asked if somebody could use the forum. It's just weird. You know how these things happen?
Sounds like it's time, Rick. It's time to let go of the beast.
So so I'll check in with Len, because he was saying if it can be used by his Danbury prostate cancer group, which it can, and we will send you all the information. And I think you go to your MS page, it'll say forum at the top, and you click on that, and then I think you have to register. I don't think there's a password, but if there is, I'll give it to you, and you're all set, and you can just use it to your heart's content. And you can even talk ill about the founders and everybody else, but you can make fun of them. Like, like Ankan Barniska's room will do. How did you let her get so far into this meeting and still not change her name? Huh? I mean, you know, what's going on here?
I
I'm
didn't
looking
think I
high
could
and low on
change my name.
I'm looking high and low on the.
Okay, I'll change it. I'll change it, but then will it default to my name the next time you sign in?
It depends if somebody uses it in between.
All right, I'm gonna unclick remember my name and email, and then maybe it won't.
See,
Okay.
I like that because what that told me is
Yeah.
you were the one that opened this meeting. We have you to thank.
Yes, thank you, Kim.
I beat Frank. I beat Frank in tonight.
Otherwise, he would have been Ankan Barniska's room.
He would have been because we're the early to arrive. Me and Frank, you know, that's just us. How are you doing, Frank? The last time your son was in town, you had a flare. It'd been years since you had a flare. We know we talked before how you were glowing and you were like a Christmas tree tonight in a good positive way. How are you doing?
Yes.
I have 3 more days of prednisone to go. I'm tapering down. I'm back to baseline. I've bounced back.
Yay.
Nice.
Good.
It had to be the spider bite. I mean, it's unbelievable that
Makes sense though. Your immune system took a hit.
and it took off like crazy. And I mean, it was bad. It actually kind of scared me a little bit. I don't want to say scared because I'm a little bit too old to get scared much, but it concerned me because I was falling down so much and couldn't even transfer from the wheelchair to the bed. And they got me on the prednisone, and all I can say is I'm back at baseline. I feel fine.
Nice.
Oh, that's good. It's very good to hear.
So then, as we're here, was there anything else anybody wanted to talk about tonight? Saying, I wish and I can't wait for the meeting because I want to talk about what?
I have a new brace that the Mayo Clinic recommended.
Oh, yeah.
And I know Frank has got something he wants to show, if you haven't already, Frank. I'll show it to you guys next time.
Okay.
So what do you think of the brace so far, Mike?
The brace goes on my right leg. And so I got 3 new pairs of tennis shoes out of the deal. You can only wear tennis shoes with this brace. Anyway.
Has it been helpful so far?
Yeah. If I can walk longer with it. It's not easy, but I can walk further, and the more I do it, the better it gets. So
there's definitely an adjustment period, definitely. But it sounds really encouraging, the fact that you can walk further, and that's awesome.
Yeah, I can walk a dog.
Walk with cane or walk.
About twice as far as in the old days.
You walk with a cane or a walker?
Just my feet.
Oh, that's great. I have to use a walker just around the house. And if I go out, I will have to have somebody push me in a wheelchair if I go out.
Okay.
Wish there was a cure.
Tom, I'm curious, listening to you, have you or you and your doctor chatted about any sort of physical therapy sessions at all? I mean, it depends on if it's covered under insurance, but a lot of neurologists prescribe that for. In fact, the majority of neurologists like to prescribe that for MS patients. It's really a helpful tool to help with mobility and just in general. Is that something that you've ever considered, or have you tried it?
Well, right now I just walk around the house, but don't really go out too much anymore. I guess I have a cane. Well,
But they're asking about physical therapy.
yeah. Well, yeah, the guy, the therapist came and wasn't very much help. So maybe I need a new therapist.
That's what it sounds.
Stage
Yeah, if you don't have a good connection, then keep looking. There's some awesome people out there, and whether it means you have to go to their facility or they come to your house. There's and plus what we're doing right here on virtual chats. There's in fact, Michelle knows I haven't done it yet because my back is finally on the mend. I threw out my back this week. I'm going to take some dance classes on Zoom. I'm seriously. I mean, you can. Yeah, you can do dance. I'm going to take a ballet class, and you can do.
I gotta be there when you put that tutu on. I gotta say that right now.
Tutu, you'll see. I'll be wearing what I'm wearing. And it's just me moving my body. But long story short, is in these days of COVID, that's brought forth this explosion of virtual everything. So therefore, there might be some physical therapy sessions or something that a therapist can do with you online. Elizabeth,
Yeah.
you were going to say something about that? Yeah.
I would like to just add to Tom, you make sure that when your doctor refers a physical therapist to you, that they are certified in neurology and neurological physical therapy, because it's a higher specialty in their field, and it matters when it comes to MS that they are certified in neurology.
Okay, well, we're writing that down as we speak. So
Yeah,
that's good.
They do everything totally different. They look at the physical therapy in a totally different way. I've had both, and I tell you what, there's no comparison.
That's
Yeah,
good to know.
I had to do physical therapy because of my neck and arm and my shoulder, where I started getting nerve pain down my arm. And when they're like, "Who do you want to see physical therapist?" I'm like, "Send me to this person because she works with the MSers in Des Moines." And my gosh, it was so nice to go to someone that already knew me, not as a client, but outside. And it is beautiful. It's been beautiful. Relationship, great. So happy.
Yeah.
Well, I used to be able to do a lot of stuff. I played football and baseball in high school, and football when I was younger. I used to ice skate, and I got pretty good at that. But, yeah, ice hockey, and I could never dunk a basketball. I couldn't touch the rim because I'm only 5'10", so I'm not big enough to jump and dunk in basketball. But I don't really care about basketball that much. But probably because I can't jump. I'm like Woody Harrelson.
So I have a question for Mike. Mr. P, how has that brace helped your golf game?
It's called a toe off brick, and it's for physical therapists. Thought I have drop foot. I don't actually have drop foot, but this thing keeps my foot from, if I did or I might develop it someday, this brace lifts my foot like a spring. And as you walk, a lot of energy goes into the device. And as you step off your foot lands on a heel, then you toe, and you walk. And this helps with that. Also, it keeps my foot straight.
Okay.
It's an ankle,
Right.
foot.
Ankle foot orthotic.
AFO. Yeah, AFO. Yes, thanks, Frank.
Great.
Well,
I have to see you, Mike. I mean, you're down the road, and we will make it happen over this holiday season.
What were you saying, Elizabeth?
Oh, I just wanted to say thanks, everybody. I love participating in this chat tonight, but I'm gonna have to go to bed.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, I
See you
understand.
guys in 3 weeks. Thanks for coming.
So good to see you
Yeah,
again.
so good to see you. I think everyone's getting sleepy on the East Coast. We're like, woo, it's a little after 10. So
We gotta keep the energy up for the holidays. We gotta cut out early tonight.
Yeah.
Well, Elizabeth, I
Merry
texted
Christmas to
you.
everybody, and I'll see you on the 12th.
yeah,
See you on the
see
12th.
you on the 12th. Have a Merry Christmas.
Chris, and have a good New Year's, and
Merry
we'll see you
Christmas.
next year.
And I just wanted to stop by and on behalf of ANCAN, just wish everybody a really happy and a good holiday. And I hope that 2021 brings you all really good health.
Good
Yeah.
health.
Thanks.
You too.
You too, Rick.
Yeah, nice to see you all.
Hey,
See
Rick.
you in a few
See ya.
weeks.
It's good to meet you, Tom. Good to see you again.
Bye. Bye, Patricia.
Okay, thank you.
See
Bye.
you.
Bye. See you.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye,
Rocio.
Rocio.
Bye bye.
Elizabeth.
Happy
Bye.
holidays. Big
Nice to meet
hugs.
you
Big
Yeah.
hugs.
Nice to meet you, Raphael, and thank Rick for organizing this whole thing years ago.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hey.
Good night.
Yeah,
Take
Rocio,
care. Bye. Bye.
adios. Buenas noches.
Hasta luego.
Adios.
So
Night,
we're all saying
y'all.
we're all saying goodbye now, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. All right.
Ciao.
Hey, son, Brett's an
Okay.
Australian.
Excellent.
Night.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.